Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about voice attack, what it does and how it can benefit you in Microsoft Flight Simulator. If you are interested in acquiring any of my overkills tutorial guides for Microsoft Flight Simulator, please consider joining me on Patreon. Patreon subscribers level tier 2 and above have access to all of my guides, as well as any future updates and future guides that will be coming down the road. Link to Patreon can be found in the description below. Okay, so first off, what is voice attack? As you can hear, it's listening to me right now. But voice attack is essentially a program that allows you to use voice commands to execute simulator commands. Now, what I'm going to show you today is very, very basic use of this product. It can do far, far more than what I'm going to show you. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using it to execute keyboard commands from our voice commands. So let's go ahead and get started with the basics here. So you're going to purchase voice attack. Now you do get a trial period, I believe, as well. So you can download this, give it a shot for free, and then I believe it's 14 days, something like that. And then after that, you'll have to either purchase a license or stop using the product. So a link to it will be down in the description below, guys. Make sure you check it out. I think you'll really enjoy this. Now, before actually we get into it, let's talk about who this would be really ideal for. If you are someone who doesn't have a lot of flight space, okay, you don't have all the bells and whistles, the controls, the thrustmasters, and the gear switches, and all the different neat tips and tricks and toys and all that come with it, or maybe you just don't have the budget for that. That may be an issue too. Voice attack can be extremely helpful to solve these problems, as everything that you do can be done by simply executing a voice command. Same thing if you're someone who just doesn't like fiddling around with the mouse. The mouse is a real pain in the butt in Microsoft Flight Simulator, especially when you're coming in on approach and you're worrying about landing gear lights or hitting that runway, whatever it may be. A lot of these things that we're going to do today can be executed simply through this particular software. So let's start out by creating a new profile. All right, hopefully this will work a bit better. So we're going to go up here to new profile, create new profile. And then we're going to title this, let's call it Microsoft Flight Simulator. You don't have to title this specifically by the aircraft, unless you want to change the commands based on the aircraft. Okay. And now we're going to go for a new command. Now the commands can be really simple here. So first thing we're going to do before we start putting commands, let's go to our A330 here. And now we're going to walk through something simple here. Wow, this thing doesn't get fantastic frame rates, does it? Let's see here. So let's just set up a custom view. Oh, a little too fast. Let's see here. It's kind of weird, isn't it? All right. It's custom view. Let's do Control Alt and 1 to save the view. Let's do one more. Let's do like the overhead panel. It's another big one, right? Let's rotate the camera back here. Come forward a bit. Down. There we go. That's a good one. And Control Alt and 2. And you know what? Let's do one more since we are going to be flying this at some point. Come down, come forward. Let's get the big one out of the way, the MCDU. Down. Okay, and let's do Control Alt and 3. So now if we do Alt 1, Alt 2, and Alt 3, we have our views. All right, so let's start with the default view here. So now let's go back to our display capture. And new command. This is the term I'm going to use. Now, there are processes when you first install voice attack, it will give you the option and give you a prompt that says, hey, Windows will work a lot better if you train it to recognize your voice. Now, I haven't gone through a whole lot of it, but you'll see that if you speak relatively straightforward and calmly, it picks it up pretty well. However, I absolutely do recommend going through the training process. That way, Windows gets better familiar with the speech recognition on how you speak. But I still recommend keeping things rather simple. So let's just start our first one here, and we're going to call this overhead. Okay, and key press. Well, for our key press for the overhead panel, we set up left alt. You can see it tracks that here. and then number row 2. And we're going to hit OK. And we're just going to hit OK here. And to demonstrate, we're going to hit done. And I'm going to tell it to listen to us. Okay, so now it's listening to our commands. And I come back to the simulator and I simply say overhead. Overhead. And there it goes. Now, you saw that I had to repeat myself. I said it too fast the first time. And again, that is the advantage of making sure you do the speech recognition training, which I will do. It is a boring process. It gives you basically a script. Windows will give you a script that you have to read. And the more times you do it, the more efficient it gets. So it really is a great thing to go through. I absolutely do recommend it. I just didn't feel like doing it today. I'd rather talk like this and have it do what I want. So now that we're in the overhead panel, let's go ahead and take a look at adding another command. We obviously want to get back. So we're going to come back over here and we're going to hit the edit profile button and we're going to enter in another new command and say pilot view. We'll just keep it simple and key press. In this case, is going to be left Alt N1. And while we're here, we'll go ahead and add another one for the MCDU. Now the MCDU, you can say MCDU, okay? And we may get mixed results for that because I think that that's going to probably be confused a little bit, but let's see what we get. Let's try it. So MCDU. And actually those are pretty clear letters, so it may not be that big of an issue. That's going to be left Alt N3. Hit OK, hit done, hit apply, and done again. Let's go back to the sim. Pilot view. MCDU. Yeah, see, I was worried about that one. MCDU. Let me clear this for a second so I can see what it's saying. MCDU. Yeah, see, it's not like that. So it does tell you what it thinks that you're saying. So if we come here, you can see it thinks that I'm saying as is on. So, oh, it does tell you. Okay, sorry. So it's listening to me. And 7 cents inside NCPU. So that's what it thinks I'm saying. So let's change that command a little bit. Or I could go through the training as I just mentioned. But let's go to the MCDU to double click it to edit. And let's try something else. Something that's going to be a little bit more easily recognized. We might be able to get away with like MCDU. Let's try this. Kind of curious. So again, apply, done. Coming back here, MCDU. MCDU. Nope, doesn't like that one. It thinks I'm saying make you. So I'm going to go back here again. And oh, hey, you guys weren't even on the screen anyway. So let's come back here. So let's change this to like flight computer. And again, I'll go through the training later. Flight computer. And apply. I should be able to just come back down to the sim. Flight computer. And there you go. So pilot view. Pilot view. Overhead. Flight computer. Pilot view. Okay. So those are just some of the basics that we can do with this, you know, depending on what you're doing. We're going to swap aircraft for a minute. We're getting into something a little bit lighter here so you guys can see some of the other functionality that we can have that's more easily demonstrated in some of the smaller planes. Okay, so now we're jumping into the TBM 930. And the reason why I chose the TBM is one of the most difficult things to hit for me that can get really annoying is the overhead panel. Okay, now, and this will work with just about anything. Oh, I said overhead. It recognized my custom view. That's funny. Pilot view. Pilot view. Okay, so the big thing, let me tell it to stop listening for a second. The big thing with voice attack is, especially in the beginning, and again, especially since I'm going to keep emphasizing this, since I did not do the speech recognition training, you have to definitely enunciate, and you have to make sure that you're speaking very slowly and calmly, okay? As you train the speech recognition, you won't have to speak quite as much like, you know, Commander Data from Star Trek, right? Do we have 2 aircraft coming out there? That's kind of cool right there. Anyway, let's get into some of the other keyboard controls that we can do here. So what I'm going to need is we're going to go to general options. Nope, that's not what I want. Excuse me. We're not going to go there. We're going to go over to controls. And we want the keyboard profile. And I'm going to write a couple of these down. That way we don't have to keep bouncing forth from the start menu. So I'm just going to open up a text pad here. There we go. And let's see here. What do we got? Let's do lights. Lights is a big one, right? Come on, open up. Wow, that just toggles lights. That's not what I want. All right. Oh, you know what? It's because it's not probably not bound. Let's search over here and let's go landing. All right. Toggle landing, lights up. Landing lights on. There we go. So we're going to do landing lights on. I'm just typing this in my notepad and writing down the keyboard command. That way we don't have to keep coming back to this. So let's do, oh, you know what? I don't need to do this. Why am I doing it the hard way? Let's use a screenshot program here. So landing lights on and off, taking a screenshot of those. There we go. Open image editor. I have all kinds of cool tools. All right. And let's see, what's another one? Let's talk about gear. Okay. That's another one. You know, if you want to be able to say gear up, you know, that might help, especially in the like A320 or something. So let's do gear up. We'll be able to see the gear handle move, but we won't obviously do it. Let's do taxi lights. That's another big one, I think. And the ones that have the on-off are really the nice ones, but even the toggle works. But for voice attack, it's really nice to be able to say taxi lights off or, you know, something to that effect. Let's do battery. Maybe you want to set up your battery so it comes on. And let's see here. Toggle master battery. There we go. Battery on, battery off. Let's do that instead. And I'm willing to bet with the TBM, it's using alternator as the generator, which would make sense. Alternator on and off. There we go. Wow, look at that. Control, Shift, and A. I might have actually set that one. Can't remember. Okay, so let's just start here. Oops. Got to bring that picture back. Get it up here on this other screen here. The nice thing is you guys should be able to see these here in a second. Just arranging them right now so it's not so chaotic. All right, so now let's just hit OK. Nope, I don't want the preset manager. Let's go back to resume here. Okay, let's go back to our top monitor here. And I know some of these may be hard to see, like that one there, but that's all right. You guys will catch the gist here in a minute. So now we're going to go to Profile here and go to Edit, and we're going to add a new command. Okay, and let's just do the battery. So let's just do battery on. That's what our command's going to be. And let's go to key press. It's left shift and B. So left shift and B. There we go. And you don't have to hold them down. You just have to type the key. All right. So hit OK here. And let's add a new command, battery off. And key press for that was Control and B. I don't even know if it's right or left. I don't think it matters. But we'll do left Control and B. And let's keep going with our lights here. What did we have? Let's do taxi lights on. Oh, no, we need the alternator. Let's do the alternator. So alternator on. Now, alternator may be a hard word. We'll see. But in that case, you can use generator instead. Alternator on. And that key press was Shift and A. And we're just going to keep going here for a second. Alternator off. Control Shift and A. You can really get cranking with these. And finally, let's do taxi lights on. And whatever you type up here, you need to make sure that's what you're going to say. And that is Alt and T. New command. Taxi lights off. Key press, Control Shift. Nope, just Shift and T, excuse me. I was reading the wrong one. All right, and we won't worry about the gear handle. Well, sure, why not? Not like it's going to fold out from under us. And we're just going to do gear up. And key press is going to be G. New command, gear down. And you don't have to capitalize or anything like that. I just have a bad habit of it. And that's going to be Control G. And you know what? There's actually one more that I want to do that I constantly run into. We're going to go back into controls. Make sure we're still on the keyboard. And I am in the sim right now. And I'm going to look for the parking brake. Toggle parking brakes. Control and num delete or right control and P. That's what I want. So I'm going to do new command up here. And this is just going to be parking brake. Because it's a toggle. So I don't have an on or off. I just have a set or a toggle. So we're just going to use the toggle. And that is right control. And it does register that. NP. And hit OK. Okay. So let's hit apply. Let's hit done. And let's get back in the sim and test some of these out. Okay. So first, let's just keep this real simple here. Let me set this to listen to us. Overhead. Battery on. Alternator on. Taxi lights on. Taxi lights on. Let's see what it thinks I'm saying. It thinks I'm saying it right. It's just not executing the command. Landing lights on. Landing lights on. Interesting. So it doesn't like that very much. Taxi lights. Sorry, that's driving me nuts. Taxi lights on. I'm wondering if that command isn't actually working. Let's see. What did it say it is? Taxi lights on is Alt and T. That command isn't working. Interesting. So, oh, I hate that. Give me a second here. So the command itself actually is working. It just doesn't work in the sim. It's a bug. The keyboard command doesn't work. So that's fine. That's out of their control. I'm not going to blame them for that. So voice attack is working just fine. Let's try some of the other things that we did here. What else did we do? Parking brake. There we go. Parking brake. Gear up. Gear down. Okay, now this is still a bug. Alternator off. Battery off. There. So you guys have an idea, hopefully, of all the different things that you could really come up with for this. So like the taxi lights didn't work, or the landing lights didn't work, and that is actually, according to this, let me check one more thing here while we're here. Okay, so that should have worked. Let me see. What was landing lights off? Right control and L. Landing lights on. Did we not set that one up? Let's go back to this for a second. I want to test that. That'll tell us if it's a bug. I'm pretty sure the taxi lights is a bug because it's just not, it's flat out not working. But let's go back to our profile. And I thought I set up landing lights. Maybe I didn't. I did not. Oh, that would explain why that's not working. All right, so landing lights on. Keyboard command is, where are we? Right shift and L. Right shift L. Hit OK. And let's do new command, landing lights off. Key press is right control and L. Now, another way that this could come in really handy and be really cool is if you're reading a checklist. Now, you wouldn't be the one actually flipping the switches, but reading the checklist and watching all the devices come on still be kind of neat. All right, let's go back to our sim. Oh, here, let's just do this. Let's be better. Overhead. Landing lights on. There you go. Landing lights off. So again, guys, I really hope that this gave you some ideas on the things that you can do with this particular software. It has a ton of functionality to it. There is so much that I wasn't able to cover that is available in this. Flap control, fuel tank selection, your pitot heat, strobe lights, all the things that might be a real pain in the butt to get. There's even ways that you could probably use this to manipulate your headings and things like that. At the very least, autopilot modes. Like, for example, I would absolutely set autopilot on, yaw damper on, because sometimes when you're flying out and you're trying to maintain that climb, you know, you've got your flight directors matched up with your, you know, attitude indicator. You know, it's real easy to lose that when you're trying to fiddle with the mouse and turn on your autopilot and stuff. So configuration of the autopilot might be a little bit tricky because, I mean, you'd have to repeat the same command each time, but there's a ton of functionality. I want you guys to think about all the things that you have to do at inconvenient moments, where all those times where you really wish you had a second person. Even radio commands, that could actually probably be a little tricky. Radio commands would be a bit harder. Setting your barometric pressure. Remember, to set the barometric pressure, all you have to do is hit B on your keyboard, and boom, you've got the barometric pressure set. So you could say set barometric pressure, you know, as part of your checklist. Pitot heat, inertial separator, that's another big one that, you know, you can easily forget. You know, separator on, whatever. So just think about all the different things that you guys could do with this. And here's the thing about this that I want you guys to understand, that everything that I showed you today is very, very minimalist functionality, or minimal functionality for this particular software. And everything that I showed you today will work in about any game or simulator that you've ever had. If it uses a keyboard to execute any kind of command, you can do this by voice. So there's a ton of different things that you guys could do that with. Anyways, another big one where this would be helpful is in VR. Think about all the things in VR that you wouldn't have to reach for the mouse for anymore. You could just say it and boom, you're there. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this little demonstration and tutorial of this product. I was not asked to do this. I've been using voice attack since early on in DCS world, and that's actually what we started back on it today, when I'm getting set up to start bringing DCS back to the channel. Anyway, I really hope that you guys enjoyed this. Let me know if you guys know of any cool tips and tricks. Maybe you know a great profile to grab for a Microsoft Flight Simulator. Share it with us down below. We'd love to see it. As always, guys, stay safe and healthy, and I will see you in the next one.